when Jeffrey Epstein finally was arrested and people thought he was finally going to be put on trial, we were finally going to have transparency, and instead he ended up dying with the prison claiming that he committed suicide. A lot of people were understandably doubtful about that because you're talking about a high profile prisoner in a federal prison. And understandably, people were skeptical of the claim that he actually committed suicide. People thought, well, I think there's a good possibility that he was probably murdered. And among the people who have been suggesting that and raising that very vocally for many years are Patel, who was a conservative pundit, somebody who had worked in the government, was very admired among the American right. And also Dan Bongino, who became one of the most popular pundits anywhere. And at some point, we're going to find the video for you, a stash of it. She called a bunch of conservative influencers and commentators to the White House. They all raved around the Epstein files, part 1. And as it turned out, it was a complete debacle and humiliation because there wasn't a single document in this binder that hadn't already been made publicly available through reporting, through trials, through all kinds of process. Not a single document, no revelations. And so then people started to ask, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like, what you repeatedly, vocally promised, all of you who are in the side of the Trump administration, that you would release the Epstein files. Like, what's going on? Where are they? And this got inflamed this week because of comments by Patel and Dan Bongino when they went on Fox News and were asked explicitly, did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself? And this is what they said.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Now, you can make your own judgments about their body posture, their demeanor, or whatever. I particularly don't think they looked entirely comfortable, but that might just be because they know that their most ardent supporters don't believe Jeffrey Epstein killed himself and are going to want to see the proof. They're saying, we read the file. Well, why haven't we read the file? Why haven't we, the public, seen the file? If there's such definitive evidence that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself and it convinced you, where is that? And it's particularly notable because, as I said, both Dan Bongino and Patel have been along raising the questions that other people have. Here, for example, is Dan Bongino speaking to Tim Pool on his podcast in May of 2023.
About a year and a half after that, I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it, but the short story, but not who they are. It says, you know, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset, meaning his plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption like, oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries they are, I don't know, but this person who is a very, very good reporter, I mean, aces, right, swore Epstein was either a witting or unwitting intelligence asset, and they may have had his plane wired up, and they're the ones who have all this stuff. So the point is, to sum it up, how do you know some of these countries aren't going to some of these power players who aren't making decisions? Because, hey, you wouldn't want this video out there, right? How do you know?
100%.
I mean,
I could not agree more with everything Dan Bongino said there. I know there's a lot of interest in the quote-unquote client list, and reporters who have followed this case very closely, who have been very intrepid, will tell you the client list has been long known. The people who have visited the island is long known. But maybe there's information about other people who were his clients, because it is true he was guilty of sex trafficking, yet there's nobody to whom he trafficked these minors who has been convicted. But what Dan Bongino said was the key question there. I totally agree is the key question. Like, that's the one that interests me most. Obviously, if there were elites having sex with minors furnished by Jeffrey Epstein, I want to know that. But the question I really think we need the answer to is exactly what Dan Bongino said there, that people have been talking about for a long time. Did Jeffrey Epstein work with or for foreign intelligence agencies? Was this some kind of scam to lure elites into compromising positions so the foreign intelligence agencies could have that on them? Compromising information? It's always been a question, like, where did Jeffrey Epstein's vast wealth come from? I mean, he wasn't just very rich. He was buying $30 and $40 million homes in New York City and West Palm Beach and that private island and flying around on private jets. I mean, he was living like a multi-billionaire, even though there's nothing ever known that he really did that would give him that kind of wealth. So then the question becomes, why don't we know the answer to that question? I believe, Pam Bondi said last week when asked about this, we have so many tapes of Jeffrey Epstein having sex with minors, thousands of them, and that takes time to go through. No one wants to see those. No one is interested in those. Jeffrey Epstein having sex with minors. We know he had sex with minors. Everybody knows that. Or go through the videos, but those should be the last priority. That's not an excuse for refusing to release information on this question. Why were there foreign intelligence agencies involved with Jeffrey Epstein? Or as Dan Bongino said, maybe they compromised him. Maybe they had a plane wired. Maybe they got information at his home video. We should know this. This is a crucial question. As a lot of you know, debt can add up very fast. You have credit cards and personal loans and medical bills, and suddenly many people find themselves buried under interest with no clear way out. That's not a coincidence. Creditors want you stuck. They profit when you're overwhelmed, making it harder for you to move forward, trapping you in these interest payments. But you don't have to stay trapped in that system. That's where PDS debt comes in. They don't treat you like a number. They take the time to understand your specific situation and create a customized plan to help you pay off debt faster and save money without needing a minimum credit score. Whether it's credit card debt, collections, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt has tailored options to help you take back control. They've helped tens of thousands of people already, which is why they have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and hundreds of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot. You're 30 seconds away from learning how you can become debt-free. Get your free assessment and find the best option for you right now at pdsdebt.com/Glenn. That's pds.com/Glenn, pdsdebt.com/Glenn. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.